Devashish Chaudhary ji. Devashish Chaudhary ji. So this program is organized by Hindustan Republican Global, as we know, and Hindustan Republican Global is a global movement aimed at preservation of the heritage of the Krantikaris, along and the INA, along with bringing and promoting retired army personnel into public leadership opportunities, inclusive of political roles. Historically, as we know that Hindustan Republican Global or Hindustan Republican Association was founded by Krantikari Pandit Ram Prasad Bismal and operationalized by Sri Sachindranath Sanyalji at Varanasi. So, the topic for today's talk is on Masterda. So, Masterda Surya Sen, the Chittagong Armory Raid. So, we are not being taught very much about Masterda Surya Sen ji. As we know, our history textbooks are very confined regarding a handful of freedom fighters. So therefore we pick this topic, pick this discussion on Masterda Surya Sen ji, so that the current youth can get inspiration from him and can know him, what were the contributions Masterda served for the motherland. So with us today, we have our distinguished guest, Devashish Chaudhary ji. So Devashish Chaudhary ji, let me tell you about Devashish Chaudhary ji. So Devashish Chaudhary ji is an associate professor in history department at Bangwasi Morning College. He is also a political analyst and a former responsibility publicity department at RSS South Ban province. He was also the co-convener intellectual cell. He was at the co-convener intellectual cell at BJP West Bengal. So namaste Devashish ji.
Namaste.
So we have again met in the last time we met during the INA program regarding that on 21st of October. Now again we are back. So like the last time, we again hope that we will get to learn many things from. Namaste. Yeah, over to you.
Namaste. Now, I would like to divide the lecture into two parts, mainly because the issue that we have to tackle is very, very complex. Because Masterda Surya Sen, he was a teacher in a local school in Chittagong, in Chittagong district of undivided Bengal of India at that time. And he was very radical in the late 1920s, 1928, 29, and 1930. So the Chittagong Armory Raid, it happened in April 1930. The Armory Raid was organized by Surya Sen. He was called Masterda because he was a school teacher. And this raid on the armory of the police and the military cantonment there, they planned a raid with about 30 revolutionaries. There was a big team because his students joined him and his friends joined him, and they attacked the armory. Now the organization they set up was known as Indian Republican Army, in short IRA, because it was modeled entirely on the Irish Republican Army, IRA, and they were inspired by the 1916 raid on the armory done in Ireland by the Irish Republican Army. So they had modeled themselves on the Irish Republican Army. So your organization is also Hindustan Republican Army. So just like Hindustan Republican Army, Surya Sen formed an Indian Republican Army, and the motivation was the same: to form a republic, fight for the freedom of the country through violent means, very openly through violent means, like what the Irish were doing in Ireland and England. So the model was the same. Now here I would like to start the two parts that I want to deal with. One is Surya Sen's direct contribution as a revolutionary, what he did and how he attacked the armory and then took all the rifles and pistols and the ammunitions, and then how he moved from village to village. For about 3 years he was not caught. He remained in the district, but the police was not able to catch him. So his own activities. But related to that, more importantly, the second part, which I will deal in bigger length, is the impact of Surya Sen on the Indian feminist movement in the sense how he inspired women to take up arms. And I will tell you the story of three particular women revolutionaries. One is Kalpana Dutt, who later became the wife of Comrade P.C. Joshi of CPI. The second is Beena Das, who fired bullets at the governor of Bengal in the Senate Hall of Calcutta University during a convocation program. Beena Das. She belonged to Chittagong. She was inspired by Master Surya Sen, and she fired at the governor. And the third person is some of us we know the name, but perhaps people have forgotten, is Pratab Wadar. She attacked the European club in 1932, 2 years after the Armory Raid, because the team created by Surya Sen was active for about 3 to 4 years after the Chittagong Armoury Raid. Even after Surya Sen was running away from the police, he was in hiding. He did not come out in the open, and the police and the military was searching for him in hiding. He continued his revolutionary activities, and he continued to make new and new teams. And now, after the Armory Raid, when in hiding, he made teams of women revolutionaries like Kalpana Dutt, Beena Das, and Pritilata Wadedar. These women, they did bigger revolutionary actions and acts than Masterda Surya Sen himself. Now, we will come to the nitty-gritty, the stories, the histories one by one. Beena Das, her memoirs were written by Kamala Das Gupta. If required, I will give the references from where I have collected all this. Kamala Das Gupta has written a story of Beena Das. Beena Das, she belonged to Chittagong, and when and she was a student of Bethune College. She belonged to Chittagong, but she had come to Calcutta to study. She was in Bethune College. In Bethune College in 1928, she took part in the Simon Commission, the opposition to Simon Commission movement, anti-Simon Commission movement. And she was inspired by her friends, etc. And then an associate of Surya Sen, and with the help of Suhasini Datta, and with the help of Suhasini Datta, she acquired guns in Calcutta. She acquired guns from the Anushila Silan Samiti because she was inspired by what Surya Sen had done in Chittagong. In Chittagong, he had already looted the armory and collected all the arms and ammunition, as was other. He was in hiding. He was moving around with the arms and attacking the British officers at regular intervals. From 1930 to 1933, when he was caught, Surya Sen, for 3 long years, he continued his revolutionary activities. For 3 long years, the police was not able to catch him, and at regular intervals, they were attacking European officials, they were killing European officials, and they were doing revolutionary activity for 3 long years. Beena Das, taking inspiration from this, she arranged for a gun, and in 1932, in Senate Hall of Calcutta University, Governor Stanley was to give the convocation lecture in the convocation ceremony of Calcutta University for the graduates. In that ceremony, Beena Das was present. She with her friend Suhasini Datta, they fired rounds at Governor Stanley. But Governor Stanley escaped. She was caught, and for 9 years she was in prison. And after 9 years, then when she came out, she went into social activities, but she joined the Congress. Now, this is an important part which will come later on. So, Beena Das is one person inspired by Surya Sen. She tried to assassinate the governor of Bengal Colonel Stanley in the convocation ceremony of Calcutta University Senate Hall in 1932. One character. Now the second person is Prithilata Wadedar. Prithilata Wadedar is very famous because she consumed cyanide. Now, in 1930, April 1930, when the Chittagong Armory Raid was to be conducted, they had planned. The planning was like the 1916 Ireland, that Easter Sunday raid done by the IRA, Ireland Republican Army, Irish Republican Army in 1916. On Easter Sunday, they had attacked various places in Dublin. The police headquarters, the armory, the telegraph, railway station, etc. Easter uprising is a very famous incident in the Irish freedom struggle. Modeling on that, taking inspiration from that, the plan was that in April 1930, the day of the armory raid, the armory would be raided, all the arms ammunition would be collected, the railway connections would be broken, railway lines would be uprooted, the telegraph lines would be cut, all connections with Calcutta would be cut off, and then an independent revolutionary Republican government would be announced in Chittagong. A part of that was to attack the European club, because in the European club on that day they assumed in the evening when the action was to be taking place, in the European club all the European officials of Chittagong, of that district, the police chief, the army chief, all the district magistrate, and all the high officials of railways, of telegraph, of post, all the British officers would be in the club in the evening. So if they attack the club, they would be able to kill all the European officials or take them hostage. Taking them hostage, they would be able to announce their independence and form their government. And then with that, it would be a stable government that they will form. They wanted to kill all the European officials or take them hostage, along with cutting off all the railway lines, telegraph lines, and all other connections, and looting the armory and looting the police station, police headquarters, taking control of the police headquarters. Now, in this plan, they captured the police headquarters, they captured the armory, they collected all the weapons, but two things they could not do due to some problem of some planning issues. Two things they could not do. They could not capture the European club because somehow or other the police got alerted. They could not capture the European club. Moreover, in the European club, the officers were not there. They had not understood that the day on which this armory raid was taking place, Masterda Surya Sen, he overlooked a very vital factor. It was Good Friday. So it was Good Friday, and all the officers were in the church. They were not in the club. So they had gone to church for their mass or whatever, or they were at home. Because of it being Good Friday, the officers were not in the club, and the police had already been alerted. So they failed in capturing the officers, taking them hostage or killing them, and taking control of the European club. That part they could not do. But they captured the police headquarters and the armory, collected all the arms. Second thing they failed was they could not find out where the ammunitions were. They looted all the guns, the pistols, machine guns, etc. All the arms they could they collected. They collected only few ammunitions which were kept with the arms. But the big storage or the big godown where all the bullets were kept, all the ammunition was kept, all the grenades were kept. The ammunitions they could not collect. They did not find where it was kept. They had missed it in their planning. They didn't know where, but when they went in search for the ammunitions, they did not find it there. So the ammunitions had been removed or they were in the wrong place. They could not get the ammunitions. They only collected the arms and few ammunitions that were with the arms. And they could not take control of the European club, and hence they could not take the Europeans as hostages. But on the day of the attack, they killed 80 Indian troops, with police, 80 troops with 6 or 7 European officers. They were able to kill on the day of the raid. One figure I want to mention here only in the beginning itself, that in the next 3 years, when Surya Sen and his team was moving around, and on the day of the raid, in April 1930, 16 of the revolutionaries were killed. So they were a team of about 40 odd revolutionaries. 16 were killed on the day of the raid. Surya Sen and Nirmal Sen and Anand Singh and Ghosh Dostidar and then Gopal Das, all those friends, they were able to move away from there. But 16 of the revolutionaries were killed on that day. But 80 of the Britishers were killed on the day of the raid. 80 Britishers were killed, Indian soldiers or Indian police, and 7 or 8 officers, and 16 revolutionaries were killed on the day of the raid. But in the next 3 years, Surya Sen was able to revive the team, get more members, and they would make their own bullets. Because ammunition they had not been able to collect the ammunition from the raid, they used to manufacture their own bullets. So for this, they had small workshops. Everywhere they established the workshops, and they knew how to make it with the brass casings and with gunpowder. They could make their own gunpowder. Revolution, they could make bombs, so they knew how to make gunpowder. With their gunpowder and with the bullets and everything, they could make their own ammunition. So they moved around making their ammunitions and all the arms that they had looted. They moved around, and in 3 years, they killed 22 British officers in Chittagong. 3 years, they killed 22 British officers and 220 soldiers, Indian policemen or from the side of the British. They killed more than 200 troops, and they killed 22 British officers in the 3 years. So it is not just one armory raid. It is not just in April 1930, the raid on the armory and looting the arms. No, it went on for 3 long years. And for 3 long years, there was sustained campaign. They were attacking the magistrate, then they were attacking some officer, then they were attacking some policeman. So all the 3 years. And at the same time, they were also taking care not to get caught. They were also hiding. They were also running around from one village to another. They were changing their clothes, camouflage. They were changing their appearance and everything and moving around like that. So for 3 long years, the British were not able to capture him. And for 3 long years, he killed 22 British officers. On the day of the raid, he killed about 6 British officers. So this is what Surya Sen was doing. Inspired by this, Bina Das fired upon the governor of Bengal in Calcutta University. Inspired by this, Pritilata, Pritilata belonged to a lower middle class family. She was a girl from a poor family. She was reading in Chittagong High School. She was just a school student. She tried to find out where Surya Sen was, because Surya Sen became so famous in the district that he had some magical powers. The villagers used to say the police will never be able to catch him because he can vanish. He is a man who can disappear and appear at his own will. In Bengali, they used to say, but a magical person. He is a person with supernatural powers. So he became such a legend. For 3 years, police were searching for him. And he was killing British officers at regular intervals. Pritilata wanted to search for him. She was able to contact him. And then he told him to go and meet one particular revolutionary in Alipur Central Jail. He asked her to go to Calcutta and get in touch with Ram Krishna Bishwas. Now, Ram Krishna Bishwas was one who had killed the police inspector of Chandpur police station in Chittagong. He was another revolutionary of the Surya Sen team. He had killed the Chandpur police inspector. He had been caught and he was in Alipur jail. So Surya Sen said, he's in jail. You can easily go and meet him. So he'll tell you what you want to know from me. He'll be able to tell you. But if you again come and meet me, then police will follow you and then I will be caught. So Surya Sen said, you go and meet Ramakrishna Biswas. He'll tell you what to do. And he's in jail. So openly you can meet him. No problem. And she gave her identity as the brother of Ramakrishna Biswas. He had killed the Chandpur police inspector in the same team of Surya Sen. Between the 30 and 32, he had already done it. So in 1932, in 1931, Pritilata went and met Ramakrishna Biswas. Now, Ramakrishna Biswas was a student of Surya Sen and a very bright revolutionary. He was able to tell Pritilata everything. How to fire a gun, means in a theoretical way, how to fire a gun, how to hide yourself, how to organize campaigns, how to plan executions, etc. And even the ideological things with Swadesh Mantra, because they were all imbibed in the Swadesh Mantra. So their main ideology was Swadesh Mantra. I will come to that. The Swadesh Mantra came from the family of Rabindranath Tagore, Sarala Devi, and Sister Nivedita. There is a debate who is the founder of this Republican Army concept in India, whether Hindustan Republican Army or Indian Republican Army. Because Sister Nivedita herself, she was an Irish woman. And she, for the first time in late 19th century, early 20th century, during the Swadeshi Andolan and the anti-Bengal partition Andolan, anti-Bangabhang Andolan of 1905, 1906, 1910, 1911, Sister Nivedita was able to organize the revolutionaries and imbibed in them the spirit of republicanism and freedom. The Irish movement was planted in India by Sister Nivedita, according to some scholars. And other scholars said, no, it was done by the niece of Rabindranath Tagore, Sarala Devi. Sarala Devi was the daughter of Rabindranath Tagore's sister, Rabindranath's elder sister, Subarna Devi. So Sarala Devi was the daughter of Subarna Devi. Subarna Devi was the sister of Rabindranath Tagore. Sarala Devi was one who also was giving this Swadesh Mantra. The same thing of Sister Nivedita, Swadesh Mantra. So Swadesh Mantra is the feeling of nationalism through our Gita and our texts, spiritual, Rishi Aurobindo's texts, Swami Vivekananda's texts, and the spiritualism of Aurobindo and Swami Vivekananda. And and the Anushiral Srimati Jugatar, they were all freedom fighters and revolutionaries formed during the Swadeshi Andolan. And they had this Swadesh Mantra, in which it was a code of how to take a pledge. Like we all know, Bhagat Singh, etc., they took a pledge, they had to take a pledge, and then they had to follow certain rules. They had to be celibate, they could not marry. They could not drink, they could not smoke, etc. This is the Swadesh Mantra. So they had to take dikha in that. They had to take that month. So she took Swadesh Mantra from this Pritilata Vadita. She took Swadesh Mantra from Ramakrishna Vishwas in the Alipur Central Jail. She used to go there and meet him, and then he used to give him Swadesh Mantra, ideological training, tell him all the practical aspects of it. And she gave her identity as the sister of Ramakrishna Vishwas. But gradually, she fell in love with Ramakrishna Vishwas as she was regularly going and meeting him. One day, when she went in the morning to meet him, she found that suddenly Ramakrishna Vishwas had been hanged by the police authorities the night before. In the night, he had been hanged and his body had been disposed of. Because it was regular practice. The revolutionary bodies were never given to their families. We all know Bhagat Singh's body was not given to the family. We will see what happened to Masterda Surya Sen's body. We will see. So Ramakrishna Vishwas was hanged and his body was disposed of. Pratab Wadar became very shocked. Because she had fallen in love with Ramakrishna Vishwas, and she banged her head on the walls of the jail, on the iron railings, or the iron on the gate of the jail, and she got quite an injury on her head. So immediately she was removed and everything. After this, she went in search for Surya Sen again, and this time she met him properly and said she was full of revenge for the English. She said, "Now I will kill whichever English you tell me, I will just kill." She became Pritilata Wadar. She became, what can we say? She became very radicalized, and she was ready to do anything. She gave the plan that during the Armory Raid, your European club was not captured, and because she was full of hatred for the British, because they had killed her lover Ramakrishna Vishwas, she was full of hatred for the English. She revived the plan and she suggested to Surya Sen that in your Armory Raid, you were not able to capture the European club. Now I will capture it and I will kill all the Europeans there. She had as her friend in that raid was Kalpana Dutt, who later became the wife of Comrade P.C. Joshi. Kalpana Dutt and Pritilata Wadar in 1932, 2 years after the Armory Raid, they again organized a team. Now this time with boys and girls together, because in the earlier 2-3 years, the difference that happened was the in the Swadesh Mantra and in the Anushinal code, women could not be the member. But Surya Sen is a difference here. Surya Sen is the perhaps the only revolutionary who allowed women in his team. But after the armory raid, when he was running around, he was hiding himself, he realized that without the help of the women, he will not be able to survive much long in the jungle, in the hills, in unknown places, in remote villages. He won't be able to survive because it is women who will give him with food, who will give messages to him, be his connections with the outside world. Because police would not be suspecting the women, or even if the women were caught, it is written in various and in Surya Sen's his own the friends who wrote about him later on, like Kamal Das Gupta, etc. Surya Sen began to believe that women revolutionaries were mentally stronger and harder than men revolutionaries. Men revolutionaries would crack under police pressure or whatever, but women revolutionaries, they will never crack. They can suffer greater amount of pain, much greater pain than men. This Surya Sen has documented in it. And so, in Surya Sen's, Masterda Surya Sen's team, after the armory raid, Kalpana Dutt, Beena Das, Pratab Wadar, and many other such revolutionary women became part of his team. And they became very important in supplying messages, in supplying food, important in planning, in, and now the execution of the European club that was done to be done by a woman team led by Pratab Wadar. This is one single revolutionary act which was conducted by and led by a woman team of Pratab Wadar and Kalpana Dutt. They attacked the European club and they killed various European officers, and they were able to capture it. But again, as it is, they were surrounded because now the police was much more ready. It was almost a suicide mission. It was almost like a suicide mission. Kalpana Dutt was injured. She was captured. She was taken to jail. Pratab Wadar went on firing till the end. And almost like Chandrasekhar Azad, in the end, she took cyanide. She had cyanide with her and she took cyanide after she had finished all the bullets. She went on fighting till the end. So Pratab Wadar died like that. Beena Das, she was in jail for 9 years. Kalpana Dutt, she was in jail for 4 to 5 years. But for Kalpana Dutt, Sarla Devi and Rabindranath Tagore wrote to the British authorities. And somehow or other, she was given mercy. And some associates with her who were caught in the European club raid, they were given mercy and not sent to Andaman. Rabindranath Tagore himself wrote for Kalpana Dutt and said, don't send her to Andamans, to the Kalapani. And along with her, 4 or 5 those who had been arrested in the European club raid, they were not sent to Andaman, but they remained in Alipur Central Jail. There she continued her education and studies and everything. When she came out, obviously Kalpana Dutt became a communist. Beena Das, she became a Congress person. Now this is an important part that we have to understand. That when these revolutionaries, when they are in the Anushilan, in the Jugantar, and they are in the Swadesh Mantra, their guiding principles are the Gita, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the concept of Bharatavarsha as given by Rishi Aurobindo and Swami Vivekananda, and the political education or the politics of the Republican Army of Ireland, the Irish freedom movement. So these are the models. The Irish freedom movement, Indian Dharma, our Sanatana Dharma. So these are the models with which they are fighting. But gradually what happens is, as Kalpana Dutt herself, in her own book, she has written, in her own autobiography, she has written that when I was in jail, all these books were denied to her. The Britishers, they denied books to her because she did not get anything to read. Then, somehow or other, gradually, the British supplied or brought her in contact with certain revolutionaries who had become communists. She began to learn new things from them. British communists, mainly. British communists. One or two names like Caldwell and I forget, Roma Roland, not British, but Roma Roland, uh, socialist thinkers like them. The Britishers supplied these socialist and communist books, but they would not supply the Swadesh Mantra books or the whatever books she wanted. They would not supply. They would give these kind of books. She began to read. Then she writes, I had to do something. I had to continue my education. I could not remain without reading. So when I was reading, I found out that our Indian tradition with which she had been fighting, with which she had been inspired, she says that our Indian traditions, which that gave us spiritual strength, that gave us a tremendous courage. It filled us with so much courage that we could die for our cause. But reading this socialist literature, I found a new kind of thinking emerging in which logic, survivability, and political success becomes more important than self-sacrifice. She writes it. In our Indian tradition, in the Swadesh Mantra, we are taught self-sacrifice. We become motivated for self-sacrifice, to sacrifice for the motherland. But in the socialist literature, she says, I found out how to be useful as a political person, how to organize, how to fight elections, how to win elections, how to organize constructive work, like some kind of NGO activities or social work. These things are taught in the socialist literature. But in our literature, in Indian literature that she had been reading, Swadesh Mantra, we are taught to sacrifice ourselves. So now that she says that I had to make a balance of the two, and I decided to be a socialist. This is what she says in Bengali. আমি আমার মতন করে বোঝার চেষ্টা করলাম. I became a socialist in my own way because my 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 intuition was to be to be sacrificed, self-sacrifice. That is the intuition. That is the basic notion. But then on top of that was socialism. That is how we find that the first generation communists were mainly from Anushilan Samiti, from Jugantar, all the revolutionaries of Hindustan Socialist, Hindustan Republic Army, which became a Hindustan Socialist Republican Army later on. And also Bhagat Singh is more or less saying the same thing, why or how I became an atheist. But it is in the beginning of his life, he went to the Granthi, he went to the Gurdwara, he was in fact trained as a Granthi. He could read the Guru Granth Sahib part, he could do the part of Guru Granth Sahib, Bhagat Singh. But later life, he said, I became an atheist. More or less, we find the same thing in Kalpana Dutt's case. And she became, but at the end also, she writes another thing. Well, in my second life, as a communist, in the CPI, as the wife of PC Joshi, I found out that in the communist movement, it is more patriarchal than when I was with Surya Sen. With Surya Sen, we had equal rights. If Surya Sen could kill enemy, we could also kill an enemy. If Surya Sen had a pistol, we also had a pistol. This is what Kalpana Dutt actually says in her book, that in the communist movement, I just became a flag bearer. No male communist would give me the same status as a comrade. I would remain either a sister or a didi or a board, something like that. But no male communist would call a female communist a comrade. Even today in CPI and CPM, it is very rare for a comrade to call a female colleague a comrade. It is only a male communist calls another male comrade a communist. Anyhow, that's what she says. But with Surya Sen, we were equals. Or in fact, we were superior because Surya Sen was in hiding. He was not able to conduct the programs after 1930 till 1933. We were planning it. We were executing it. We were telling Surya Sen what to do, what not to do. He depended on us. And we kept him alive for 3 long years. It is the women revolutionaries, Pratab Wadar, Kalpana Dutt, Veena Das, they kept all these, Nirmal Sen, Surya Sen, and Ghosh Dostidar, Jagat Ghosh Dostidar, Ananta Singh, all were kept alive by the women revolutionaries. She writes Kalpana Dutt, I became a communist because I had no choice after that, because she would not become a congressman. And she was a revolutionary. So the socialist literature at least had some notion of revolution in it, which the Congress culture did not have. It was a totally different ideology, which Biradas also says, because she became a Congress person. So her experiences are different. But they both belong to the same Masterda Surya Sen school. They belong to. So three women. One became Congress person, one became communist, and one Prithviraj Wadar, she did the ultimate self-sacrifice, which is the Anushilan, all the Sanatan spiritual, the Swadesh mantra taught. So Prithviraj Wadar sacrificed herself as Swadesh mantra. Kalpana Dutt became a communist, and Bira Das became a Congress person. But all the three belong to the Surya Sen school of revolution, in which they killed 22 British officers in 3 long years. Now in 1933, when Surya Sen was caught, ultimately, we all know how it is done. We all know. There was one traitor among them, another saint, I forget his name, Niranjan, Nihar, Nihar Sen, I will give you the name. They were staying at his house. He was bribed with 10,000 rupees. In 1933, police bribed him with 10,000 rupees in 1933, which is round about 1 crore rupees today, maybe more. 10,000 rupees of 1933. With that bribe, they were able to catch Surya Sen and Nirmal Sen. Both of them were caught together. Surya Sen was kept in jail for 1 long year in 1934. It is said people were not able to see him. Nobody was able to meet him. For 1 long year, it is said his body was punctured, his body was cut with blades, his nails had been taken out. He was tortured like an animal for 1 long year. They did not keep him alive, they did not let him die for 1 long year. And it is again said, bodies of revolution was not given to the family. It is again said, when he was hanged, after he was hanged, his body was cut into pieces and thrown into the Bay of Bengal. In Chittagong, he was thrown into the sea. Surya Sen's body was cut into pieces and thrown into the sea. For 1 long year, whoever sought that trial, because always there's a sham of a trial, some trial is taking place, whoever were witness to it, they said every time there were injury marks on his body. His nails had been taken out. For 1 long year, the English tortured him. And then, after hanging him, his body was cut into pieces and thrown into the Bay of Bengal. This is what happened to Surya Sen. Now, Surya Sen was personally, as a person, again from the memoirs, from different memoirs, even Tanika Sarkar, Sumit Sarkar's daughter, she has written very good history about Surya Sen or about the three women characters that I mentioned. She has written very good essay on all of that. She says that Surya Sen was a very soft-spoken person. He did not have very physical attributes. And in the 3 years when he was hiding and running around, he always used to find out about his other friends, what they were doing, how they were doing. He used to take notice of them. He used to try to find out about them, how they were hiding, which one had been caught, not caught, try to send money to the families of which the revolutionaries had been caught or killed. And every time he got a news of a revolutionary being killed, because he had a big following, about 40, 50 odd. When it went on reducing, in the end there were just 5 or 6 people left. Nirmal Sen, Surya Sen, and Ghosh Dostidar, Tarokeshwar, and 2 or 3 odd in the end. So every time he got news of somebody being hanged or killed or caught, he used to weep and cry like anything. He was a very soft person. Personally, he was a very soft person. He was a school teacher. And most of them were his students. And some of his friends and students, they did the armory raid. And from after the armory raid, the entire Chittagong area and even till Calcutta University we find, even till Calcutta, there was a wave of women joining. Uh, it is a similar craze like we find about Netaji. Once Netaji had formed the army, then the entire country was just Netaji. And about 10 years before that, Netaji did it in 42, 43. In 1931, 32, the entire Bengal, the entire area was full of all the women want to be revolutionaries, all the boys wanting to be revolutionary. Everybody wanting to take up gun and kill as many. We find Bhagat doing it. Bhagat at the time only, Jatindranath Mukherjee, he killed the police officers. Then Binay Badal Dinesh, the three friends, inspired by Surya Sen, in 1930 or 39, they went into writers' building and killed three police officers. In the writers' building, they entered. The police headquarters in Lal Bazar, they entered. In the police headquarters, Bengal police headquarters, they entered. The three friends had killed 5 or 6 European officers. And they killed themselves. They knew if they entered the police headquarters, they won't come out alive. They did that. So entire that 30s was a craze of Surya Sen. Like in the 40s, it was craze of Netaji Subhas Bose. So, but we just cannot imagine. We just cannot imagine the way people were ready to sacrifice themselves, the people they were ready to do anything. But parallel to this, we're also finding one movement of Gandhi in which people. So, what ultimately the narration is that for revolutionary activity, you need to have highly committed, highly motivated few people. So revolutionary activity cannot be a mass movement. Obviously, this is what Sumit Sarkar and other historians, Bipan Chandra, they're all saying this. The revolutionary activity cannot be a mass movement. The contribution of Gandhiji is that people who could not be revolutionary, they had family responsibilities, they had other responsibilities, they were government employees, but they wanted freedom inside their heart. They were British government employees, but they wanted freedom. So all these people, where would they go? So Gandhiji organized a mass movement for the people who could not be revolutionaries. And people like Surya Sen, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, they provided a platform where committed youth or who wanted to sacrifice themselves could become revolutionaries. So both of these things went parallel, more or less, more or less. But the basic difference is the idea or the concept regarding violence. This is very important. Now, we all know that Martin Luther King of USA and Nelson Mandela of South Africa, Martin Luther King, before he died, he acknowledged, Nelson Mandela also acknowledged that Gandhi was an inspiration for them. But Gandhi was an inspiration for mass mobilization. How to mobilize the masses. Some people would be radicalized, obviously. Surya Sen, his followers, Pritilata, they would be radicalized. Some people would be radicalized, they would take up arms. This is what they would eat Swadesh Mantra, and they will do it. In Anushilal Samiti and everything, they will do it. In IRA, in HRA, they will do it. But the masses, they also want to contribute to independence. They also want to do something for country's independence. So there is a mass movement for that. For mobilizing the masses, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, they all acknowledge. But they do not support Gandhiji on his insistence, almost blind insistence on non-violence. This is what makes it very tricky for us. Gandhiji was doing something which was respected by the revolutionaries. Surya Sen, even Netaji, Bhagat Singh, they were never critical of Gandhiji. When they were critical of Gandhiji? No, they never criticized because they understood that everybody could not become a Bhagat Singh. Everybody would not become a Surya Sen. Everybody cannot be Kalpana Dutt. But so Gandhiji is there for mass mobilization, doing meetings and rallies and hartals and strikes and all the mass movement. So they were not critical of him. They recognized that our work is to be that to be extra motivated. We are extra motivated. We are radicalized, and and, and the models we have in front of us, like the Irish model and even the other models we have. So we know what to do and we'll do it. We'll do it. But they did not criticize Gandhi. On the contrary, Gandhi used to criticize these people. These people, they supported Gandhi. They did not think that Gandhi was wrong. They knew that it was another way of mobilizing the people. And our way is our way. Both are equally good. Because everybody cannot become a Bhagat Singh. And Bhagat Singh cannot become a non-violent satyagrahi. Bhagat Singh cannot become a satyagrahi. Udham Singh will not become a satyagrahi. They're not made like that. Surya Sen will not become a satyagrahi. He will rather pick up a gun and shoot the first British officer he finds out. He will shoot a British officer. So I cannot become a satyagrahi. People want to become a satyagrahi. Let them become. Nothing wrong in it. But on the other side, Gandhi was critical of these people. Gandhi said, violence is not good. It is not correct. They did not say that non-violence is not good. Gandhi said that violence is not good. This is the difference. Nelson Mandela, these people, they did not oppose violence. They might not be supporting it openly. But did Nelson Mandela ever oppose ANC? ANC was an armed organization. Nelson Mandela himself belonged to the armed wing of ANC, African National Congress. He himself was an armed revolutionary, Nelson Mandela, before going to jail. And during segregation and those civil liberty activities, did Martin Luther King ever say that no, the blacks who were engaging in some violent activities, they were doing wrong? But no, that is their way of doing it. It is my way of doing it. By way of passive resistance through the church, because he was the father of the church. But through the Christian message of peace, love, and giving another cheek. So that was a Martin Luther King's way of the Christian protest, the Christian Brotherhood protest. But the blacks who were organizing these groups of armed groups, militia, to resist Ku Klux Klan and resist the white racism, he did not oppose those black groups because they also had to fight against the white racists. The white racist Ku Klux Klan was out there to kill all the blacks in Texas, in Florida, in south of the USA. So Martin Luther King did not oppose them. But Gandhi went on opposing the people who were revolutionaries. He went on opposing. That is my contention. That is my disturbance. That is why my problem with Gandhi. The revolutionaries are not abusing you. In fact, the revolutionaries always respected Gandhi. But you are abusing the revolutionaries. You are calling them Bhatkawa Yuva. You are calling them, giving them names. What is this? So this is where our history becomes distorted. Otherwise, see, Nelson Mandela history is totally integrated. There is no difference. There is no problem in accepting Nelson Mandela as an armed guerrilla fighter and Nelson Mandela as the epitome of peace. There is no problem in the segregation movement, in the anti-segregation, in the civil rights movements of USA. There are no differences of narratives or anything. In India, our narrative becomes distorted. Our narrative becomes complicated, confused because of this one, I would personally call it illogical stand of Gandhi. Why you will not support the revolutions? You don't do it, no problem. But why do we abuse them? Why do you call them names? Why do you demotivate them? As if they have done something wrong. Swadesh Matra people did not do anything wrong. Even the communist revolution later on, if they believe in violence against the British, it's not wrong. It is not wrong. It cannot be wrong. Because the British rule was a violent regime. It was not a democratic regime. It was not a republican regime. It was a violent colonial regime. And it had to be fought like that. And in this, now Sister Nivedita's role I have mentioned in giving the Irish model and the Irish Republican Army Sinn Féin model. Similarly, Sarla Devi, in her Jugadar, through her books and writings, Sarla Devi was insisting on the physical attributes of the men and the boys both. Sarla Devi was one of the first ones. She died at a very ripe old age of 72. In 1945, she died when she was 72 years old. Throughout her life, she set up many gymnasiums, which are called Vyamshalas. Vyamshalas. In Bengal, we call them Vyamshalas. She set up gyms where boys and girls both could do physical exercise. She insisted on physical exercise. She insisted on training of arms. She could collect arms because she had the protection of the Tagore family. Now, the Tagore family was a very, let us see it this way only. Like Tagore gave helped Kalpana Dutt to escape. Kalpana Dutt and her associates escaped the Andamans. So Tagore family was a big tree. Under the protection of the Tagore family, the force of the Tagore family, she could collect guns. She could arrange guns for the revolutionaries, the Anushilan and the Jugatar fellows. She could collect money for them. She could give them safe passage. She could hide them. She could give them safe houses. And she insisted on two things: physical activity, physical strength, martial way of doing it. Means she was creating the ground for revolutionary activities for the youth. And second shit that she did was she insisted on, like Sister Nivedita, she insisted on women education. Primary task, all these. See, Bina Das was a student of Bethune College. Later, she went to Diocese College, a smaller college, because she wanted to be a revolutionary. In a Bethune College, she would be exposed. Everybody would recognize her. A big college, big student, this, that. She wanted to keep her profile low. To keep her profile low, she discontinued Bethune College and went to a smaller college, a less known college, Diocese College. She changed her college so that she would not be recognized. And she used to walk on the streets of Calcutta in the noon, with the sun. In strong sun, she used to move around, Bina Das, so that she could become black, get a tan, because she was fair looking. So that she became black and then people could not recognize her. She used to do it. She used to walk on the streets of Calcutta, getting black with sun rays. So that when she shot, killed the governor, she wanted to kill the governor. This is what they were doing. Sarla Devi was the inspiration in Calcutta for them. She would give them protection, she would give them food, she would give them education. She had so many girls' colleges, girls' schools, in which she insisted on the widow, because in Hindu Samaj already, obviously, they were very Kulin Pratha, etc. was there. So many widows were, even after widow remarriage and everything, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Rammohan Roy, everything, there were many teenage widows, very young widows were there. She organized the education of the young widows in her school, used to give them stipend, used to give them scholarship, and with the condition that when you get education from here, with the stipend scholarship that I've given you, after the completion of your course, BSc, BA, whatever you're doing, after the completion of course, for 4 years you cannot marry. You will do some social work, or you will work in a school, or you can work in a office or something. You'll find gainful employment. You will work in an office, you will work in a school, you will do some social work. For 4 years, you cannot get married. I'm giving, because Sarla Devi used to say, I'm giving you money to get an education. After education, you get a good husband and then you marry off. And what happens to the money that I gave you for 3 years or 4 years, 3 years for your education? So this is the condition Sarla Devi put. Yet, many of them returned the money and got married, etc., etc. But this is how she was organizing the empowerment of women, preparing a new generation after generation of revolutionaries. And the revolutionaries were motivated by the Swadesh Dharma and the Swadesh Mantra, Anushilan, Jugantar, and the IRA and the HRA principles, ideologies. And then some of them went to communism, socialism. Some of them remained with the Congress. The narration and the narrative or their disappearance from history happened, I believe, it's my personal opinion, because Gandhi was so much against these people. If Gandhi had not criticized these people so much, later on in the Nehruvian system of our education, etc., because Gandhi had criticized and abused these people in a freedom, after our freedom, in our new education, because we were glorifying Gandhi, 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 Gandhi. So when we were glorifying Gandhi, we could not glorify these revolutionaries, because Gandhi was against these revolutions. In Africa, South Africa, in USA, this problem did not occur, because Nelson Mandela was not against violence. So in South African history, they wrote about the ANC, the guerrilla war, then the peaceful movement. They wrote about it. They wrote about both of those things in equal measure, and in full sincerity, full honesty. In USA also, they have written the history of the civil rights movement in full sincerity. But here we could not be sincere, could not be honest, because if we glorify Gandhi, we cannot glorify Surya Sen, Bhagat Singh, Kalpana Dutt, Meena Das, Pritilata Vadedar. We cannot glorify them, because Gandhi was against these people and Gandhi was abusing these people. So that's my personal opinion. So with this, I end here. I hope I have not wasted people's time. I knew what I had. I prepared something from what I little bit I knew. I hope it has been useful. Now, uh, if there is anything further to be done, please let me know. If there is question, answer, or anything, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Devashish ji, for the detailed analysis. And actually, thank you for enlightening us. So let us move to our audience. So if they have any
Please.
questions to ask, uh, are there any questions from the audience? You may type the questions in the chat box too, or if you can directly ask Devashish ji by turning your camera. Okay. So there is one question for you, Devashish ji, that so many of the times, actually, when you give this reason that the revolutionaries, the contribution of the revolutionaries were undermined, then some come up to say this, right? Yeah, to give the reason that they themselves wanted to live the life uh, very isolated, so that because their work could only be successful if they they spend their lives in an isolated situation, right? So therefore, actually, Gandhi ji had the popularity, or after 1947, Gandhi ji gained most of the momentum and most of the limelight for the freedom struggle, while the others could not. So this is one of the reason that is being said by the Gandhian apologists. So actually, what are your views about this?
To be fair with them, to be fair with the Gandhians, see, there are many good things that Gandhiji did. First and
Hmm.
foremost, he was able to organize a mass movement. It is very difficult for a country of our size, with so
Hmm.
many castes, so many regional differences, so variations of languages. So to bring so many people of different languages, different castes, different communities, different backgrounds together in one platform, that's really commendable job. Gandhiji did that. We cannot deny that. We should be fair. We should be fair. That is something that he was able to do. But the revolutionaries, what they were doing was also not insignificant, because with wisdom of hindsight, we must say that it is the, if suppose, with wisdom of hindsight, suppose logically, the revolutionaries were not there. There were no revolutionaries. Nobody was killing the Britishers. Nobody was attacking their trains and their telephone line, their telegraph lines and their post offices and police stations. Nobody was doing anything of that kind. There was no revolutionary activity. How much Gandhiji would have been successful? If I put a counter question, how much Gandhiji would have been successful if the revolutionaries had not been doing all these things? This is a question of logic, with wisdom of hindsight. It is because the revolutionaries were able to do all these things. People, ordinary people, with families, with children, with dukan, with shops, with Mataji, Pitaji to look after. Everybody cannot pick up a gun. It is not a war. But only Netaji was able to form an army, but it is not war. So it is not an aggression from outside. Nobody is going to take up arms. But when the revolutionaries were able to do these things, common people, ordinary people, got the confidence. Yes, the Britishers can be defeated. They can be killed. They are not immortals. They are not Bhagwans. They are not gods. They can be killed. And the Britishers also get afraid. They can be frightened also. Then they joined Gandhiji's movements. They got the confidence. It is my belief. It is because of these revolutionaries that mobilization for Gandhiji became easier and easier. In other way around also, we must be fair. When Gandhiji was preparing all these mass movements, because many of them, Birada said, in the beginning she was in the anti-Simon movement. In her college, Bethune College, she wore a black armband in the anti-Simon, Simon go back. She all did all those things. Later also she became a Congressee. That's all right. That's all right. But because she had participated in a mass movement, she had found a platform from where she found that, well, in the Congress platform, there are revolutionaries also. So they helped each other. Our
So
historian.
it worked as a pathway, right? As a
Yes,
bridge.
as a bridge. So our historians should have been fair, should have been balanced. If Gandhiji's movements brought out the youth in a mass movement, and from the mass movement, 4%, 5%, or 10% got radicalized and became revolutionaries, he is helping the revolutionaries. Now the revolutionaries, when they're killing the British officers and they're attacking the British institutions, they are creating motivation and creating courage. They're giving the feeling of victory to ordinary people to go and join the mass movements. So they are helping each other. Gandhi's movements is helping the revolutionaries. The revolutionaries are helping the Gandhi's movements. Why did not Gandhi acknowledge this? This is my simple logical question. Because the revolutionaries acknowledged it. They acknowledged it. Netaji never abused Gandhi throughout his life. Never. But Gandhi said all sorts of things for Netaji. For nothing. Why? Why? Netaji left Congress because of Gandhiji. He did not confront him, did not fight him. When he said that Gandhiji is not happy with him, he just did namaskar and he went away. Why did not Gandhiji acknowledge this? That the revolutionaries are also important. They are one part of a bigger struggle. Mass movement by itself cannot mean anything. Because the Irish example is the same thing. When Irish Republican Army, when IRA is doing all those violent activities, Sinn Féin is fighting the elections and Sinn Féin is giving the ideology. Sinn Féin is there, IRA is there. They both complement each other. They don't fight among each other. In our history writing, if there is a if I become Gandhian, then I cannot celebrate Surya Sen. Why not? I believe in Gandhi. I also believe in Surya Sen. That should have been our history writing. But somehow it did not happen. Because of this, I don't know. Why? And
Because of political reasons, do you see these misconceptions?
Yes, I think so. I think so. Because ultimately what Congress was doing in the end, partition is also a big factor. What Congress in the end was doing, it was doing power politics. In the beginning, 1905, 1910, 1920, 1930s, 1940s, Quit India movement, even then, Congress was doing mass politics, freedom struggle, mass mobilization, freedom struggle. But after 1942, somehow or other, Congress went into power politics, into power grabbing. How to get this ministry, how to get that ministry, how to win the elections, how to defeat Ambedkar. Congress went on defeating Ambedkar. Nehru, Nehru gave candidate against Ambedkar in 1937, in 1946 elections, which was to decide the Constituent Assembly. It was Shama Prasad Mukherjee who gave ticket to from a by-election. Shama Prasad Mukherjee gave ticket to Ambedkar from a seat in undivided Bengal. Ambedkar had been defeated by congressmen in Maharashtra in 1946 elections. So Congress was becoming a political party. From a freedom movement, from a nationalist movement, it became a pure and pure political party. Of, if I can use the word, dalali, give and take with the English, with this, with Muslim League, with Jinnah, and with Jinnah and British, give and take, ultimately divided the country. The lust of power, I think it's the lust of power which completely destroyed the Congress movement and compromised all other people after that. Our history writing, our understanding was compromised because Congress people, they became power hungry. They wanted to grab power as soon as possible. From a mass movement, Gandhi again was right. In the end, Gandhi said the Congress should be disbanded because he was seeing it with his own eyes. The Congress from a mass movement was becoming a political party of negotiations, compromise, len-den, jod-tod ki rajniti. It became power political. It became power politics, lust for power, which completely destroyed our all the effort of the revolutionaries and everybody. Through so many years, people have been fighting, and ultimately they divided the country and adopted the same bureaucracy, adopted the same IPS, IPC, adopted the same things. They adopted the entire British structure. Then what the people were fighting for? If we adopt the same structure, why did Surya Sen kill all those British officers? Why did he kill so many people? Ultimately, the country had to be divided. In Chittagong, today there is not one single name of Surya Sen anywhere. And the same people of Chittagong, the Muslims. Chittagong had substantial Muslim population then also. The Muslims were giving shelter to him when he was in hiding for the 3 years. Muslims, Hindus equally loved him. But today in Chittagong, there is not one statue of Surya Sen. There is not one street named after him. His house has been razed down. His ancestral house has been razed down. There is nothing there. So we have not done justice to ourselves. We have not done justice to ourselves. Congress became a power political, with power hungry organization in the end after 1942. That's why all these troubles happened. And country got divided and we were not able to find the correct, could not do the correct historical assessment of the revolutionaries.
Sure. Okay, so are there any more questions to be asked? I don't see any questions in the chat box. Does anyone want to ask any question to Devashish ji by directly coming on the screen? Okay, so I don't think Devashish ji.
I can tell you one small incident also can tell here that the effect of Surya Sen, one small bit. In December 1931, after the Armory Raid, inspired by Surya Sen, there were two school girls. I again want to emphasize the impact of Surya Sen on women revolutionaries. He was a big hero for the little girls, for teenage girls, for young women. He was a big hero for them. In 1931 December, in Kumilla is the next district of Chittagong, just north of Chittagong, Kumilla district. In Kumilla district, the Kumilla magistrate, Stevens, Kumilla magistrate, English magistrate of Kumilla district, Stevens, in December 1931, inspired by Surya Sen and his escape, he has not been caught, inspired two school girls, Shanti Ghosh and Suniti Chaudhary. Shanti Ghosh and Suniti Chaudhary, they were teenage girls, school girls, 14, 15-year-old. They killed the Kumilla magistrate Stevens in December 1931. School girls killed Kumilla magistrate. Among the 22, all the 22 officers killed in the 3 years. There were incidents like this also. They ended up in Andaman. Obviously, they ended up in Andaman. School girls for high school. They killed the Kumilla magistrate Stevens in December 1931. In December 1931 is the time when Gandhiji was doing roundtable conference in London. 1931, December 1931, Bhagat Singh had already been hanged in March or April or whenever in Lahore. In 1931, he had already been hanged. And December 1931, these two little girls, they killed Kumilla magistrate Stevens in Kumilla, next to Chittagong. So this is Surya Sen. Like Netaji, Surya Sen, big inspiration.
We can draw this, the Indian feminists need to reanalyze their heroes.
Yes, definitely. But one thing is there that most of the writing is in Bengali language. Now, this is again very, very strange. It has been parochialized. It's become parochialized. Most of it is in Bengali, but some scholars in Bengal, they're trying to do it in Hindi and English also. There are some scholars I know. There are one or two, my friends in Delhi University, Sandeep Chatterjee, he is in some college there. He is trying to translate some of these books in Bengali. They're all Atmajivanis, means autobiographies or revolutionaries. Atmajivanis, they're in Bengali. So he's trying to translate them into English and Hindi. They have studied in Bengali only. Very little in English. Tanika Sarkar is written in English, Sumit Sarkar's daughter. Her book is very good, Tanika Sarkar. That is there, of women revolutionaries. Tanika Sarkar is a feminist, she has written about women revolutionaries. It is there.
Okay, so let us wrap this session. So it has already crossed the time limit. So we need to wrap this session up. And thank you so much, Devashish ji.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Maybe some more questions would have been. I don't know if I made it interesting or not. Maybe it was not interesting.
No, it was really interesting. And so actually there were one or two questions only. So I guess you made that the points very clear, I guess.
Because regarding Surya Sen, I did not want to stress on Surya Sen because I just wanted to stress on the impact, because Surya Sen is available on net very easily. This killing of 22 officers and the armory raid, this is well documented. We do not study it, teachers don't teach it, but on the net it's available. Many books are there on the net. If we just make an effort, we'll find out. But about these characters, like these two schoolgirls, only in Bengali, some little Bengali book somewhere in College Street will find it. These two schoolgirls who killed the Kumilla magistrate, Stevens, in 1931. A district magistrate was killed by two schoolgirls. So this had been happening.
Okay, so thank you so much, Devashish, and thank you to the audience as well. So again, we will be back with another distinguished speaker. And till then, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.
Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.